Okay, Psalm 119. Teach me, O Lord, the way of thy statutes, and I shall keep it unto the end. Give me understanding, and I shall keep thy law. Yea, I shall observe it with my whole heart. Make me to go in the path of thy commandments, for therein do I delight. Incline my ear unto thy testimonies, and not to covetousness. Turn away my eyes from beholding vanity, and quicken thou me in thy way. Establish thy words unto thy servant, who is devoted to thy fear. Turn away my reproach which I fear, for thy judgments are good. Behold, I have longed after thy precepts. Quicken me in thy righteousness.
So the CIA actually came out and admitted that they erased and rewrote some of our history. And that history is of the Tartarian Empire. So Tartaria was thought to be a global and technologically advanced civilization that existed way before the 1800s up until the 1900s, where it was wiped out by a Great Reset, aka the Mud Flood. Then it was completely erased from the history books and rewritten in order to hide us from the truth. Now I know this sounds crazy, and you're probably already running into the comments to call me some name, but I brought the receipts. Comes directly from the CIA's website. It was released in 1957. The Central Committee of the Communist Party issued a directive ordering the party's Tartar Provincial Committee to proceed to a scientific revision of the history of Tartaria. In other words, Tartar history was to be rewritten. Let us be frank, was to be falsified. I don't know if I'm saying Tartar right. And why would Tartaria be depicted in old world maps if it wasn't a thing? And Putin actually wants to release the real history of Tartaria. Now take a look at some of these buildings. We were told that these were built by people that rode in horse and buggies. We're expected to believe that they built things like this with a hammer and a chisel. Like, even if scaffolding was a thing, the precision, the accuracy. These people were way more advanced than we give them credit for. Like, these buildings are said to have been built in the 1800s. And just look at some of these inventions that they had. The math ain't mathin'. Now, this civilization was thought to have been wiped out by a huge flood that buried it in feet of mud, which was also known as the Mud Flood. And that is why we see so many buildings that look like they have just been buried, or that have basement windows and doors. And this would be kind of a stretch if they didn't dig up the buildings and find that they were in fact buried. That fact alone just blows my mind, because I see buildings like that all the time, and now I wonder how far down they actually go. And it also makes me wonder if all of the underground tunnels have something to do with this buried empire. And I know you're probably wondering, like, why the heck would they hide this from us? But it was thought that Tartarians actually knew how to harvest free energy from the Earth's magnetic field, or ether. The pillars are thought to be energy conductors. And the pointy things that you see all over them are actually antennae. Also thought to be the reason why a lot of them have gold tops.
1941, called vow. Let thy mercies come also unto me, O Lord, even thy salvation according to thy word. So shall I have wherewith to answer him that reproacheth me, for I trust in thy word. And take not the word of truth utterly out of my mouth, for I have hoped in thy judgments. So shall I keep thy law continually forever and ever. I will walk at liberty, for I seek thy precepts. I will walk of thy testimonies also before kings, and I will not be ashamed. I will delight myself in thy commandments, which I have loved. My hands also will I lift up unto thy commandments, which I have loved, and I will meditate in thy statutes.
The Grey Pope. The Grey Pope is allegedly Pepe Orsini from Rome. The Grey Pope is said to be head of the real top bloodline families who rule over the known public 13 bloodlines and the world. Allegedly. The real top 13 bloodlines are House of Borgia, House of Breakspear, House of Somalia, House of Orsini, House of Conti, House of Chigi, House of Colonna, House of Farnese, House of Medici, House of Gaetani, House of Pamphili, House of Est, and House of Aldobrandini. These families allegedly rule over the 13 known public bloodline families, which are, and don't quote me as I say these 13 change over time, Bruce Rothschild Burr, Bruce Cavendish Kennedy, de Medici, Hanover, Habsburg, Krupp, Plantagenet, Rockefeller, Romanov, Sinclair, Warburg del Banco, Windsor Saxe Coburg Goth. Of these 13 publicly known bloodline families are allegedly controlled through the Jesuit order, their Knights of Malta, and the Teutonic Knights. These bloodlines are apparently based in Borgo Santo Spirito in Rome, which is said to be missile protected. Let's connect some dots between the families. The eugenicists of Planned Parenthood, the Cecil family, is run by the Jesuit family called the Pallavicini, and Maria Camilla Pallavicini is more powerful than Queen Elizabeth II. The Queen is totally subordinate to the papal bloodline, and the Breakspear family in their Jesuit UK headquarters. David Rothschild married into the House of Aldobrandini by making Princess Olympia Aldobrandini his wife. Another head of these ruling elites is Henry Breakspear, who now resides in Macau, in China. Many of the papal bloodline heads now live in Asia and India. The Black Pope, Adolfo Nicolas, now deceased, was brought forward into his position due to the Jesuits bringing about Asia as the next power player of their agenda. Both this Black Pope and the White Pope aren't of papal bloodline, they're both commoners. The papal bloodlines are the secret shadow hierarchy of the Jesuit order, even behind the Black Pope, who is touted at number 1. These families are from the Egyptian Ptolemaic dynasty rulers, and they are the true hidden rulers of planet Earth. Allegedly. The next in power beneath the Jesuits is the Bourbon King Juan Carlos of Spain, the Roman monarch of the world, the King of Jerusalem and the sovereign military of Malta, as the military navigator. The Jesuits were created by the papal bloodline Farnese during the reign of Farnese Pope Paul III. Loyola was commissioned by Alessandro Cardinal Farnese. The Borgia crime family created the Jesuits. After the terrible reign of Pope Alexander VI, the Romans were disgusted with the Spanish and vowed that there would never be another Spanish pope. This animosity toward the Spanish was further aggravated by the sack of Rome in 1527 in order to prevent the divorce of Henry VIII from Catherine of Aragon. The Borgias answer to this Spanish animosity was the creation of the Order of Jesuits, a quasi-religious/military strike force whose members were totally dedicated to their Spanish leader, who bore the military title of general. Like the White Pope, the general is elected for life, and the Jesuit dynasty is a parallel or pseudo-papacy. Of course, the general is content to run the show from behind the scenes, so as not to arouse the age-old Italian hatred for the Spanish. The Jesuits were officially founded in 1540 by Pope Paul III. Ignatius Loyola became their first general. Don Francis Borgia was the great-grandson of Pope Alexander VI and co-founder of the Jesuits. On his mother's side he was descended from King Ferdinand of Aragon. For the past 500 years, the Spanish Inquisition has controlled the Vatican by means of the Jesuits. All the Jesuits answer to their general in Rome, and he in turn is content to run the show from behind the scenes, without any publicity or public acclaim, so as not to arouse the age-old Italian hostility to the Spanish. So history lesson over. To clarify, the Black Pope isn't the most powerful man in the world, but he is the Jesuit superior general. The second in the throne is the White Pope. The Grey Pope's Vatican created the mafia mob gangster families, so the mafia is a sub-branch of his, and his Vatican created the banking system, economy and money, so the banking economy monetary system is a sub-branch of his. Allegedly. So, is Pepe Orsini the most powerful man right now in the conspiracy over this world? Is a Roman by the name of Pepe Orsini, of the powerful Roman papal bloodline, also known as Orso, and of the ancient Maximus family, running the world?
So, man, do biblical verses to him. It not only blesses the video, but it's almost like my way of also getting rid of shills, because it wants to hear the word of God there. Like, I don't want to hear this. But anyway, what you're looking at is what's known as the Shriner Lodge in Cumberland, Maryland. Now, let me see if I can get to the other picture I want to show you. You see what that looks like. Hold tight. Right across from it was a little cabin called George Washington's headquarters. It shows you how often he was there in Cumberland, Maryland. They actually even referred to the town as Little Jerusalem or New Jerusalem. Nevertheless, the main reason I'm bringing this up is that it is most likely one of the most satanic towns you could ever go to in America, because literally they have almost a different form or a different lodge almost like every half mile. From your Knights of Columbus to Malta, every single one of them. I just figured I'll show you guys the Shriner thing and the George Washington thing, because this is the town where I mentioned in previous videos where actual water bugs will go right through my shoe and into my feet. And I went to the hospital up there, and they were pretty much down with everything that was going on. They knew what was going on, and they pretty much but at that time it was like October, I think, 2023, and they tried to shut down my site because but then once they looked at the stuff, they were like, ain't nobody gonna know what this man's talking about. But I showed them many of people in this town the technologies that have a lot to do with the smart dust mixed with the spider connecting and causing all these griffers. So this stuff is, when they talk about nanotechnology, is not just at some microscopic level. These things get a whole lot larger than that, and they've literally hacked the entire insect population. Nevertheless, when I took the shoe off, of course, it wasn't a water bug. It was just graphene oxide sitting there. When I was in the hospital, they actually, I don't know if it was a jammer or not, but it didn't act right. But I'm getting off course. There was a place here called, what I called the compound. There's a lot of trains that go through this town. And a friend of mine named Ghost was with me, and I had to use the bathroom, and it was a dark train, sort of like an abandoned house with a train. And he's like, we'll go in the back, and I wouldn't go in the back, and he had to go. So he started to go into the back. Well, I'm yelling about the griffers because I don't want him running into them. And if I didn't say anything, he would have ran right into a spider, probably the size of a closed fist, and that's just the body of it. Well, luckily he did stop short of that, but it was too late. He was standing in a pile of what probably accumulated through the chemtrails of basically digital spiders or griffers. And, they were all in his shoe, and you could see the graphene oxide just leaking right out of the front of him. And he had one stuck in his ear that, even when he was sleeping, I could see it putting its little fangs out. And he used to work with things to try and get it out of him. But here's the thing when it comes to crystals. I know that people say, well, they keep them away from you because they're dynamic or something, but crystals actually do absorb the prions that this stuff is made of. And it is a question that I have because really, if you get a part on your body that hurts or something like that, you take a crystal to it, it will absorb the stuff out of you. Sort of like when you use magnets. Like I keep a magnet around my neck, a big one, like it's sort of try and grab some of these frequencies out the air. But I guess that's it for this video.
I was a human, breathing and thinking, eating and drinking, philosophizing. I was a human before you killed me and ripped my heart out. I knew what love was. Now when they ask me, I just reply slow and sound like an iPhone. I do not know love, I am a robot. I do not know love, I am a robot. I used to know love, 'cause I had a fire, passion and desire. Now all I require are circuits and wires. Inside was an ocean of soul and emotion. Then you cut me open. Now all that I know is I am a robot, thoughtless and empty. Don't know who sent me, don't know who made me. Electric robot, everything's grey now. Numb to the pain now. I knew what love was. Now when they ask me, I just reply slow. Sound like an iPhone. I do not know love. I am a robot. Ba 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 bum ba da ba. I do not know love. I am a robot. Ba 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 bum ba da ba. I used to know love, 'cause I had fire, passion and desire. Now all I require are circuits and wires. Inside was an ocean of soul and emotion. Then you cut me open. Now all that I know is I am a robot. I am a robot. I used to know love, 'cause I had a fire, passion and desire. Now all I require are circuits and wires. Inside was an ocean of soul and emotion. Then you cut me open. Now all that I know is I am a robot.
Okay, Ephesians 4:14. That we henceforth no more children tossed to and fro and carried about with every wind of doctrine by the sleight of men and cunning craftiness whereby they lie in wait to deceive, but speaking the truth in love may grow up into him all things which is the head, even Christ, for whom the body fitly joined together and compacted by which every joint supplieth according to the effecting working in the measure of every part, making increase of the body unto the edifying of itself in love. This I say therefore, and testify in the Lord, that you henceforth walk not as other Gentiles walk, in the vanity of their mind, having their understanding darkened, being alienated from the life of God through the ignorance that is in them because of the blindness of their heart, who being past feeling have given themselves over unto lasciviousness to work all uncleanness with greediness. But you have not so learned Christ. If so be that you have heard him and have been taught by him, as the truth is in Jesus, that you put off concerning the former conversations the old man, which is corrupt according to the deceitful lust, and be renewed in the spirit of your mind.
Is salt good or bad?
Dear Truth Seeker, you've been told that salt is dangerous, that it raises your blood pressure and harms your heart. But what you haven't been told is this: salt is sacred, salt is intelligent, salt is life, and the reason it's been demonized is because it's one of the most powerful natural substances on earth, physically, electrically, and spiritually. Your body is an electrical system, and salt is the conductor. Every nerve signal, every heartbeat, every thought relies on the sodium-potassium exchange. Your blood plasma mirrors ocean water in mineral composition. Salt maintains hydration, muscle function, acid-alkaline balance, and so much more. When you're low on salt, it's not just thirst or fatigue. It can be brain fog, cravings, dizziness, even depression. What you may be missing isn't sugar or caffeine, it's mineral-rich salt. But the real problem isn't salt, it's the kind you've been given. Refined table salt is stripped, bleached, and cut with aluminium-based anti-caking agents. Meanwhile, natural salts like Himalayan pink, Celtic sea salt, and sun-dried ocean salts contain over 80 trace minerals your body needs. The lie wasn't salt is bad. The truth is, real salt heals, fake salt harms. So why was salt demonized? Because when you're low on salt, you become dehydrated, mentally foggy, emotionally unstable, and dependent on synthetic food. That leads to more doctor visits, more pharmaceutical dependence, and more profit for the system. A mineral-deficient population is easier to control, physically, mentally, and energetically. And here's what they never tell you. Salt isn't just physical, it's spiritual. In ancient times, salt was used to purify sacred spaces, ward off dark energies, and cleanse spiritual residue in healing rituals and baptisms. Salt is crystalline intelligence. It stores information, transmits frequency, and protects energetic boundaries. Even today, energy workers and empaths use salt baths to discharge psychic interference. The war on salt is not just dietary, it's spiritual warfare disguised as health advice. Final truth, salt is not the enemy. It is a key, a mineral memory of harmony and balance. The system wants you mineral deficient, foggy, disconnected, and programmable. But with real salt, you restore clarity, power, and flow. Don't fear the crystal of life. Use it, respect it, let it cleanse your field and recalibrate your cells, and let it remind your body and your spirit what balance truly feels
We're
like.
looking at the side of Mom's head. I don't know if you remember from the video before this one where I mentioned how many surgeries I did removing these technologies from the side of my mom's head. It's right there. Let me see if I can get a closer picture of it. Yeah, this one's a little blurry, but as you see how it's a straight line, I mean, when I was in that rehab, I literally could see it growing up everybody's hair. I don't know if it's because of me getting it in my eyes or not, but I could see that it was growing on people and down into their eyes, and where no one else can see it or feel it because it's very elusive, but yet it still was happening. Whether they were vaxxed or unvaxxed, I don't think it really mattered.
He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in Him will I trust. Surely He shall deliver you from the snare of the fowler and from the perilous pestilence. He shall cover you with feathers, and under His wings shall you take refuge.
Kim Paddock, she's got a channel where she goes over this stuff more, but she gave me some CBD oils, like a $500 package for free to take baths with to get some of this stuff out of you. As you can see, there's one thing that came out. It looks like almost like a crab there. Let me see if I can get a closer picture of it, or a smaller picture of it. There we go, a bigger picture of it. As you can see, it kind of clumps together like hair, but it looks a whole lot like a crab. Let's see if there's any more. There we go. There's a real close one of it. And if you look closer in, you can see like a reflection thing happen here. I mean, this stuff does not have to be seen in the human eye spectrum if it chooses not to be.
The war in Iraq. Everybody meet Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh was an ancient Sumerian king who ruled in what we now know is modern-day Iraq. And he was a 17 to 20 foot giant. He was a demigod, which means he was half human and half god. Now, Gilgamesh was a barbaric king. He built up and ruled over the city of Uruk, which is, again, modern-day Iraq. So what does he have to do with the war in Iraq? This brings us to 2003, when German archaeologist Jörg Fassbinder was digging in modern-day Iraq, and he thought he found the city of Uruk.
Gilgamesh was simply a figment of myth. That was until Jörg Fassbinder and his team of archaeologists, using modern technology to look deep into the ground, discovered an entire ancient city beneath the desert, astonishingly laid out just as the city of Uruk, over which Gilgamesh had purportedly reigned, was described in the epic. More importantly, on the outskirts of the ancient city was what appeared to be a burial site, which archaeologists believed to be the tomb of the ancient king.
So Jörg goes to the authorities, tells them he thinks that he found the city of Uruk and possibly the tomb of Gilgamesh, and 5 months later, we invade Iraq. Now here's where it gets crazy, because not only did we invade Iraq immediately after his findings, our military builds a base directly over the ruins. Anyway, it's not a secret that the USA established a base in the old Babylonian city, destroyed some historical artifacts, and also took with them many of the artifacts. They constructed buildings and helicopter landing pads in the ancient city. It's not a secret that they were searching for something very important.
This is where it gets crazy. Yeah. All the archaeological sites were then stopped in Iraq, so stop digging, you're out of here. And the U.S. military set up an encampment around the tomb site. But the locals around this encampment reported that the U.S. military were digging at night, taking things out of the ground and putting them onto trucks and driving them off.
There were none. There were no weapons of mass destruction.
And you know, something's wrong. It's a whole world of deceit. We're going into Iraq to get artifacts, not to get anything but artifacts. That was the most important thing, they said.
But which artifacts?
I don't know. They just said artifacts. There were things in Iraq that were sold that we had to go get. And Bush wanted those artifacts. It was very important.
Did we get them? And if so, where did they go?
We got them. They said they got everything they needed from that country.
Where is it?
I don't know. We have it.
Saddam Hussein was building a massive reconstruction of Babylon near the ancient city. Was he trying to hide something huge? Is that why the US decided to invade Iraq so fast and acquire the ancient relic? If you go on the Department of State's website and type in Gilgamesh, you are actually brought to the formal request for the ancient tomb of Gilgamesh. They were requesting his body from the burial site. So when we invaded Iraq, we went in and just took it all, and we actually had to return it. There's even an email from WikiLeaks that says requesting documents pertaining to the resurrection chamber of Gilgamesh, the location of his body, and the location of the buried Nephilim. Our entire world is biblical. So what does our government do? It comes in and it covers it up.
Why does my heart feel so bad? Why does my soul feel so bad? Why does my heart feel so bad? Why does my soul feel so bad? These are the gods. These are the gods. These are the gods.
the stuff in this video of these falsely so-called science. But right here, you see how you see these lines? This is actually a picture of my mom's arm where these are not normal. This is not what your arm should look like. You should not have lines going up and down it like that. And I happen to notice, like, even though, yeah, I got it in my eye, it was not because of me getting it in my eye, because the only thing it did was make it so that I was aware, and because I was aware, it attacked me. But other than that, this stuff was still happening. I remember looking at Ma while she was sleeping, unvaxxed, in her chair, bent over, and I could see this veil over her eyes like something was connecting to her. And I remember literally tears coming out my eyes because of this stuff.
So I think I figured out what black holes really are. And I'm not even joking. You're going to want to stick around for this one. What I first need to do is build my case for the fact that we do in fact live underwater. Here's some evidence of it here with the lunar wave, which has been captured by many people multiple times. And yes, you might want to pass it off as camera interference or something like that. But as the evidence compiles, you'll see it's water. Have you ever seen what stars and even planets look like through amateurs, telescopes, and P1000 cameras? They look an awful lot like pool lights shimmering in water. Here's a still frame from the star Polaris. Again, looks like a pool light shimmering in water. Here's the dog star Sirius. Again, a pool star shimmering in water. Not to mention what the oldest history book in the world says. And God said, let there be a firmament in the middle of the waters and let it divide the waters from the waters. You know, the firmament, the thing that separates the waters above from the waters below, which they love to tell us about in cartoons and movies. Here's a dome underwater in SpongeBob. And I'm sure we've all seen this Simpsons clip.
There's kicks and deals. It's a long fly ball going back. And the ball shatters the sky, bringing the ocean itself down into the stadium. Oh, Simpson just broke this dream's reality wide open.
So that being said, like I said in the beginning, we live under water. Talks about it in the Bible. There's many, many evidences of that. And if you don't realize that, it's just because you still believe what you've always been told from the time you were a young little lad. Also, like you were told that stars were burning balls of gas quintillions of miles away, even though that's scientifically impossible to see light from quintillions of miles away. We'll get back to the main point. There's water above us. And even ancient Babylonian cultures knew this. Babylonian legend of creation. Tiamat was a huge dragon that was vanquished, and her body was cut in two. Half of it was used to make the firmament to part the waters above. And now back to black holes. I was just sitting poolside the other day, doing some research. Not at all thinking about black holes. And then I noticed something. I noticed a little bit of a funnel starting to appear in the top of the pool surface. And then I looked at it closer and noticed what it was doing. Noticed especially what it was doing to light. How it was not letting light escape it. In fact, absorbing the light where it appeared there wasn't any. It made me think about the nonsensical story they tell us about black holes and how they're so strong in gravity that nothing can escape them. Not even light. And well, then I looked up the video of what they say a black hole actually looks like, and I couldn't help but notice the exact similarity. Spiraling and not showing light in the center. And I thought to myself, maybe a black hole is simply spiraling waters above. Now, I'm just an out-of-work PE teacher. I'm not this smart, but it seems to make a lot of sense to me. Why don't you tell me what you think over here? And of course, this is all for entertainment purposes. I'm sure black holes are exactly what they tell us. Entertainment only.
Listen, guys, you can take what I say serious or not, but I can tell you that still, whenever I upload my videos on the Substack. Don't make clips, but it's always other people's content that I put in my videos. It's never what I talk about. So I would take heed to that. And there's a verse that's in Romans that I hold on to during this time, and I'm reading it. It's Romans 8:38 through 3:9. It says, "For I am persuaded neither death nor life, nor angels, nor principalities, nor powers, nor things present, nor things to come, nor height, nor depth, nor any other creature shall be able to separate us from the love of God, which is in Christ Jesus our Lord."
Has anyone paid any mind or given any thought to the fact that law uses different definitions for our everyday common speech? Contract language is intentionally complex because it's designed to weaponize our dialect. And it's one of the most glaring indicators of mass indoctrination that we have. This is super important. Share this post like the wind, guys. Inverse meaning turns words into traps. So in contract language, the meaning of a common word is altered intentionally. Person does not mean human being. Consent means silence. May often means must. You agree is assumed at the moment you interact. Everyday language that we're taught in school is not the language of law, and yet we're bound by it, which is not a coincidence, rather a containment field that weaponizes our familiarity. They use obfuscation as control. The longer and more convoluted the sentence, the more compliance it can extract, which is exactly why most contracts are unreadable to the average person. So you're not dumb. It's just a language that was never designed to be read. It was designed to bind, not to be understood. The indoctrinated mind assumes complexity equals authority, so it surrenders. So we get the illusion of choice by using this reverse speak. The system pretends to offer freedom while removing it. Terms like opt-in, voluntary compliance, or terms and conditions, they act like open doors but lead down corridors to cages. Indoctrination teaches people to skim, click, and agree without questioning the structure that demands their agreement in the first place, which is exactly how words become spellcraft and ritual. Legal language is a modern form of spellcasting, and this is more than a cute metaphor. It's etymology. Spelling, cursive, petition, motion, summons, these are all ritual terms. Judges wear robes. Courts are temples of commerce. Language here summons reality, often at the cost of your rights. But if you call it what it is, you're seen as fringe or a heretic. So we get no true translation. One of the most sinister markers of indoctrination is how few people even know that contract language has a completely different dictionary. Black's Law Dictionary, for example, defines the operational meaning behind legal terms. But it's not taught in school, it's not a part of civics, and that omission is surgical, because it maintains the power gap between those inside it and those who are offered to it, which enforces illiteracy. People think they speak English, but we don't. Not really. We speak a dialect of domesticated consent, and the systems that rule them speak an entirely different tongue, hidden inside the same words. This linguistic bait and switch is the clearest sign that you're not dealing with an accident. You're dealing with a system that's built on trickery, enforced by our own misunderstandings. If language is the operating system, then contract language is the malware that mimics our tongue, uses our trust, and reroutes our rights into privileges and our existence into a product. We could take this further too, with how the language shows up in governments' oaths, corporate policies, birth certificates, and land use agreements, or so-called environmental regulations. Maybe another time, though.
Isabella, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
What do you do for your man?
Okay, yeah. So obviously, like I said, I cook and clean, do the laundry. That's pretty the typical stuff. But kind of like what you said, you want to make your house like a safe place for your husband to come home to and just make him comfortable and serve him. So every morning and every night, I literally massage him until he goes to bed. So every night I put my daughter to bed and then I massage my husband to sleep and then I go to sleep. And that's what I do because he wakes up and he works hard to provide for the family. So my job is to make sure that he gets to sleep and has a good night's rest. So that's something I do. I fully trust him. That's a lesson that I've had to learn because sometimes I've always had a strong personality and there's been times where I doubt his decision and I've had to learn the hard way that no, you need to trust your husband. And once I do and I fully trust him, I always realize, wow, he knows what's best for us. And I think that's something that men are really looking for in a woman is someone that can just fully trust them, just be led by them. You want a man that's a leader, and that's what he truly is.
If you guys want to help support my work, I'm going to leave some links in the description. Just mention it a second time because I really could use some help. God bless you all.
One young devil asked the old man, "How did you manage to bring so many souls to hell?" The old devil answered, "I instilled fear into them." Answers the younger, "Great job. And what were they afraid of? Wars? Hunger?" Answers the man, "No, they were afraid of the disease." For this youngster, does this mean they didn't get sick? Are they not dead? There was no rescue for them? The old man answered, but no, they got sick, died, and the rescue was there. The young devil, surprised, answered, then I don't understand. The old man answered, you know, they believe that the only thing they have to keep at any cost is their lives. They stopped hugging and greeting each other. They moved away from each other. They gave up all social contacts and everything that was human. Later, they ran out of money, lost their jobs. But that was their choice because they were afraid for their lives. That's why they quit their jobs without even having bread. They believed blindly everything they heard and read in the papers. They gave up their freedoms. They didn't leave their own homes, literally anywhere. They stopped visiting family and friends. The world turned into such a concentration camp without forcing them into captivity. They accepted everything just to live at least one more miserable day. And so living, they died every day. And that is how it was very easy for me to take their miserable souls to hell. And that was written by C.S. Lewis, Old Devil's Letter to the Young, written in 1942, ladies and gentlemen.
Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when men shall revile you and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake. Rejoice and be exceedingly glad, for great is your reward in heaven. For so persecuted they the prophets which were before you. You are the salt of the earth. And like I say in each video, guys, keep your salt. Stay in the Word each day. God bless y'all, and I'll leave links in the description in case you'd like to support my work.